and we would figure out what our RA was saying. It's like, oh, it's in the handbook. And we're like, it actually doesn't say that. And so we would do stuff. And so I literally read the handbook to break the rules. So that became my freshman and my sophomore year. And then when I was like, let's just apply for RA. Like, why not? What do I got to lose? And literally he hired me and he's like, yo, you got hired because of the rules you broke, not the ones you followed.
Welcome back to my creative journal. My name is Bryce, and I'm so excited to have my first interview on the podcast. His name is Blair. He was my RA in college, and we've already talked about him technically on the podcast, which will be one of the first questions. So,
oh boy.
Yes, welcome, Blair.
Hi there.
Hi. Well, just give me a little bit of an explanation of who you are. What are you doing right now?
So I graduated from William Jessup University in 2022, April of 2022, and had a full-time job in nonprofit organizational work for a Christian nonprofit. So I work for Youth for Christ Sacramento. And so I basically just get to hang out with kids. I get to basically be a youth pastor, but I'm not affiliated with one church. I'm affiliated with the church as a whole.
The body of Christ is like, what would you say?
Yeah, basically, if you want to put it a different way, like I'm basically a glorified youth pastor that doesn't have a church.
Sure. Wow. Okay. Well, that's a really great thing. He doesn't have to follow anybody's rules, just God's rules.
Yeah. So I basically I don't have any necessary rules that I have to follow in regard to like attendance wise for church or series, or make sure I'm talking about X, Y, and Z, make sure I have summer camp, winter camp. I don't have that, but I have like other standards. So part of my job is I am a part of campus life. So that means I'm on a actual campus. So I'm on an elementary school campus, but when you think of elementary school, you think of like to 6th grade. No, their elementary schools are until 8th grade. And then right after that, you go straight into high school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I hang out with the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders on campus. I pull up, I bring food, I hang out with them. I have a little 5-minute talk. I do games. And so it's just like, it's a way for them to have community and for them to feel a part of something when all they know is school.
Sure. Yes. We'll dive more into that. I don't even think I have it on the questions. Blair was very proactive in wanting to have the questions with him too. So he's not going to be really surprised by the questions. But the first question that we're going to talk about today is the Polaroid wall that we had in our apartment. Or earlier episode, we talked about how I just loved Polaroid photos, and you did take a Polaroid photo right before this.
I did take a Polaroid picture right before we started.
Dude, it was such a great memory, and I remember you like showing me your wall in your room, like when we first had it in Sunset, and I just fell in love with the idea of having like a physical memory, and it was such a cool idea, and if you want to hear it, you should listen to it. It's only like 5 minutes long. I'm making them kind of short, but this one will be a lot longer because it's an interview, but it's super exciting. But tell me a little bit about what got you into Polaroid photography, and like why did you have it in general?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when it first comes down to it is that like, my mom bought me a Polaroid camera. I saw it once, like, I think it was on social media. Somebody had posted like the picture of a Polaroid picture. And I was like, what the heck is that? Because all I've known is like you print out a picture from Costco and then you have that and it's in the standard like 3x8 or whatever it is. And so that's all.
It's a little boring.
Yeah, it gets boring. Like you can cut them and stuff, but like your boy ain't that creative. And so like I just remember I asked for Christmas one day and my mom was like, hey, and so she bought this. It's a bright green one, like lime green.
Very lime green.
Yeah, it's like super bright. And so my mom gave this to me and gave me like 20 pictures. And so I think that was 2018, going into 2018. So I was going to be a freshman in college, and my mom got it for me, and she was like, "Yo, have this." And so I took pictures every once in a while. I'm a big memory guy. I love having something from a memory that I can look at to be like, yo, that's what happened. So Polaroid pictures were great for that. So just be random Polaroid pictures. There's some stupid ones. There's some funny ones. There's some kind of explicit ones, but they're not really. They're just like random, like shirtless pictures. And it's just like a bunch of random stuff, but they all have a memory. And my memory is terrible. Like I basically say I have Alzheimer's and dementia and I'm 22. Like if it's not on my Google Calendar, I don't know about it. But
Yes, that is very true. I remember your Google Calendar from college.
yeah, so but with that, this Polaroid camera kind of became like a staple piece of who I was in college, especially my junior and senior year is when it started to kind of take off. So yeah, I think like if you want me to go more in detail, there's so much more, but
Yeah.
I think I counted recently and I probably have almost 600 pictures.
That is insane because when you think about it, aren't they like $1 a piece basically?
They are. That's basically like one paycheck in college. Like it's like $600. Like, and people would be like, that is kind of a waste. Like you just spent $600 on little pictures and whatever. But to me, that allows me to remember things that might not have happened every once in a while. And so for me to have that, it means a lot to me versus somebody else who'd be like, that's just a random picture that you have on your wall. And so I have it. I love it. It started like my junior year and it was just like random pictures. Like I'd see somebody really doing something really funny. I'd go grab it and just take a random picture and they wouldn't even know. So I just have like random pictures. And then when I became an RA, it kind of became like a staple piece of our wing. And so our dormitory wing had like 25, like maybe 30 people in it. And so this is peak COVID. You're not allowed to have anybody like in the wing besides you guys. And so before going into the year, I was really like nervous. I really only knew Bryce and his roommate, and that was it. And so I was really nervous and I was just praying. I was like, God, give me something that I can use to build a community, build a connection with one another. And so just through that, my camera kind of just like kept popping up in these memories. And so I was like, all right, bet. Like, what's the worst thing that happens? I try it and it doesn't work. So just be like random pictures. Like literally on the back of my phone case is like when one of my students who was from Hong Kong had to fly back because he wanted to spend summer there. So I literally just have the picture and it has like 4 of us holding him up and it's just like him leaving. It's just like stuff like that it's like if I didn't have that, I wouldn't remember that memory. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's a huge thing. And I remember when you showed me your wall, it was actually in your closet because those are a little bit more on the risque side. But for all those listening, really not bad.
They're censored. They're censored.
Yeah, they are very censored.
And when we say like they're really bad, they're really not. They're just like random things that it's like you can see them if you want. I'm just going to not have them fully shown because then it's like... Let's say I have like some friends over and they're like, what the heck is that picture? Sure. And then I have to explain that story. Definitely. And it's not the best story.
Yeah, no, it was just a really cool experience. And I remember during our second semester in that wing, I did get a Polaroid camera and it was the best thing. And I truly like to this day, I will say it's one of the best purchases I've ever made because of you, because it was so exciting to capture those memories. And it was something that we talked about in that podcast, or I talked about, was that people will say they're not creative like you did earlier. And it's something that I want you to come away that you are creative. I think that's such a creative idea, especially when we went into our senior year apartment, which I'll probably ask Tommy in a second about as well, that it was just a really cool experience. And you gave us all that chance to walk into our apartment and see this big wall of photos and people that we all loved and cared about. And
yeah. So maybe let me jump in right there and just say like, before going into our senior year, I was like, what the heck am I going to do? I'm an RA and the living area that we're in is like an apartment complex. And so nobody's going to let you into their apartment, like, unless you know them. And so I was like, what in the world am I supposed to do? Like, how am I supposed to be intentional with like everybody around me when some people don't even know who I am? And so like I saw on TikTok that it was like, I took a picture of every time somebody came in my apartment and now my whole wall's filled. And I was like, what's the worst thing? So I sent it into our Instagram group chat and was like, we're doing this. And some guys were like totally down for it. Some guys were like, I don't really care. And I was like, it's our home. We're going to make it what we can. And so that's what I did. And so that's how it became a staple piece and it became kind of popular on campus. And it was really crazy.
It was a huge thing. I remember people would come to our apartment just to take the photo. What was your thoughts, or did you remember the wall, or like, what would you think?
Yeah. I remember the wall, and I think I have a few pictures of like beginning of the year, leading up into the end of the year, and you can see how full it gets. And I thought it was great because as the male species, we don't decorate. Like the most decorating that Bryce probably has in his room is his microphone cables hanging on the wall, or an instrument laying in the corner. And so I think it was a really neat thing that made our apartment more unique to most, which I think was great, especially for an apartment that had an RA in it.
Definitely, because we were blessed. Let's just say we were blessed. We had the RA in our apartment.
The best RA, by the way.
The very
Yeah.
chillest, best RA ever. I will say, I'll put it on record right now. He was the best RA, other than Ethan. Ethan is close because I have to say that. I love both of them so much. We'll explain that at another point. But it was a great experience, and it was something that I'll forever remember. When I left Jessup, the day we were all packing up after graduation, was so tough, turning around and looking at our wall where it was empty, and all those memories that we made were gone, and not in a bad way. It was tough to say goodbye.
Well, almost equally as tough was having to take the stupid freaking tape off of
Oh,
the wall.
that was the worst, dude. It was like some pictures wouldn't stay up, so there was like 7 pieces of tape, and there was other pictures that had like 1. So like you take a picture down and be like, sick, only 1 piece of tape, and you turn around, and there's like, dang it, there's like 7 pieces of tape, and they're like
Yup.
folded in half, and so it's double-sided, and so it sucked.
Well, we
but-
used like every brand of tape known in existence. It was anything
wanted
from
that thing to
duct
stick.
tape to scotch tape to double-sided. It was wild.
Yeah, but let me say, going back to what Tommy said with the decoration, is that a lot of times like guy apartments is just like they're very functional. Like we got a TV, we got a couch, that's all we need. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But I'm like, yo, we're living in here for like 8 months. I'm gonna make it what I want it to be. If that means I got more stuff I got to take home at the end of the year, I'm gonna do that because I want this to be our space. And so the Polaroid wall just became something that was, yeah, it sucked to take down, but it was like that staple piece. And it was like freshmen to seniors, even faculty knew about it. And it was crazy. Like I remember I got dared, I think it was by Tommy or Bryce. I mentioned like our president of our university, and someone was like, just shoot him an email. Like, what's the worst thing that happens? You shoot him an email and it doesn't go anywhere. And I was like, all right, like, let me shoot him an email. And so I shot him an email. I was like, yo, like, and previously, like, I had sent him an email that was like, hey, here's a goal. And one of my goals was to go on to like every single room of a campus. And the last room I had was his office. And so I sent him an email. We hung out in his office for like 10 minutes. I shared my testimony and then got a Polaroid picture of he and I fist bumping. And so I have that on my wall. But I shot him this email and was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And he responded back in like 30 minutes. And this is like 9:30 at night. Like the president of a university is responding at like 9:30 at night on like a random Tuesday evening.
To your email, like a quote unquote random student is
Yeah.
just like emailing you, and you're like, let's respond to this.
Yeah, and he was like, let's do it. I'm down. And he came over like a week later. We hung out. He brought ice cream from the calf, and so he was eating ice cream. He was hanging out. He was laughing. He was smiling, and it just became like a funny thing. And I remember I posted a picture on my Instagram story that was like holding his Polaroid and like having the wall in the background. I swear to you, I probably had like, for a guy, like I have like 900, like almost 1,000 followers.
Sure.
And that's a lot.
Yeah.
And I think I had like 800 views on that story. And it was like
That's
people that I didn't know. People
Yeah.
that didn't follow me were viewing that story. And I probably had like 50 to 100 people swipe up on that story that were like, yo, what the heck? Like, how'd you do that? And I was like, yo, come over to the apartment, I'll tell you. And that, I remember like that week was like every evening there was like 10 people in our apartment getting their picture. And like there were rows of like the same date because so many people came over. And I think we probably had over 150 pictures.
It was something like that. It was like it was a very large number, and I remember when we put them all together, it was this like fat stack of just Polaroids that, when you do think about it, is like $1 a piece, and it's like I'm holding $150 right here.
Yeah, and I will say before we like go on to the next section, I will just say like what I did with that was I made sure that each picture was something different.
Yes.
Because I didn't want it to just be kind of like looking like a mugshot. You're just standing there like you'd smile, you'd not smile, and then that's it. I was like, do something creative. I don't know what that means. Do something creative. So there were some people that did handstands. I had some people that literally had somebody climb into a cabinet and did something in a cabinet. We had some stuffed animals in our apartment, and there were people that always were doing stuff with that. Like some people were athletes, and so they brought stuff and they did that. Like there were so many different things, and it wasn't like I'm what people like to call a NARP. And so if you don't know what that is, that's a non-athletic regular person. And so I'm not really close with a lot of the athletes, but I had 2 athlete apartments, and I think I had almost every single one of them come over to take a picture. And like, I remember my boss was like, dude, I don't know what you're doing, but they actually know who you are. They like actually are like DMing you on Instagram. They're like doing all this stuff. They're hanging out with you. You're going to their games. And it was like random stuff. And that's how I got to know them. And so all their pictures were different. And then for our apartment, I made sure that everybody that lived in our apartment, we were on the top row, and I had them all be something that was a staple piece of them. So Tommy, he held his guitar. I think he had his guitar and his cast iron skillet.
Something like that.
I think Penny was sitting on top of the
Okay,
guitar.
and I
I know it
think
was a duck.
one of our
It was a
stuffed
duck.
animals.
It was a duck. Yeah, something like that.
I remember Bryce was holding his camera. I remember Zach, I think, had mac and cheese because he always ate mac and
It was
cheese.
either that or a block of cheese.
Yeah, or something. I remember
That
Everett
man
had
loved
his
cheese.
Something I can't eat.
Everett had his golf clubs. I remember Sam had his tennis rackets. I remember Peyton had his guitar. Landon had our stuffed animals. And then I was holding a Polaroid camera, and it had our date of our apartment. So it had like, we were apartment 108, and then I had our room number. And then on the bottom, we signed our names. And then for each picture, you would put on the top the date, and on the bottom, you would put your name. And some kids got creative and put their Instagram handles. And so it was an awesome experience. I loved it. It's now on my wall. I think I'm now up to like over 600 pictures. It's insane.
Insane.
Good luck when you move.
Oh, I know.
Good
It's
luck when you
going to be
move.
crazy.
I remember every time you would like go home for like the summer, he'd take them all down, then he'd have it all back up in his room, then take it all down when he came back.
It was like one of the first things I'd take down too. Like it was like one of the
Yep.
first things it's like one of the last things I would take down.
Oh, yes.
And it would be like one of the first things I would put up.
Yep.
Because what else am I gonna do? And I think later, I don't know if you have it on, but I can talk about my canvases and what
later.
we did with that. But
sure.
but I think there's more questions we want to get into. We've already talked a
Yeah.
lot about this, but I think it's dope.
I think this was the one question for sure I had to at least ask you and talk about, because it was something I did talk about already, so it was fun.
Oh yeah.
But this all leads into the question about how did you use creativity within your job as an RA? Because I think you already kind of dove into it a little bit. But this podcast is a lot about being creative and being in your 20s and learning how to be creative in different ways, because a lot of people say they're not creative. And I believe that people are creative and they just show it in different ways. God has made us to be creative, and to suppress that is not a good thing. You know, like if it's cooking, it's cleaning, it's singing, whatever it is, I think you're creative in so many different ways. And especially in your RA position, you are very creative. So if you don't say anything, I will.
I really appreciate that. Yeah. I was an RA for 2 years. And so one year I was in like a dormitory building. And so literally there's like a hallway that connects all the rooms. And I was like, well, we're all stuck here. It's because of COVID. We might as well be friends. And I think everybody had that expectation. And so before going in the year, you have to figure out like what your decorations are going to be. And I was like, we're guys, like it's either sports or it's video games. And I was like, all right, I guess it's video games. And so I like went out of my way to come up with super creative decorations. And so like what I did is there's like a appliance store close to my house. And so I'd go there and get the cardboard. And then,
Very smart.
Yeah, and so this is the best idea my dad and I had ever thought of. And so we took the cardboard and we cut out Pac-Man figures, so a massive Pac-Man, a couple ghosts, and then if you know Pac-Man, there's the little dots. So right as you walked into our wing, the Pac-Man was me, and then all the little dots, which is kind of funny now that I think about it, to me be Pac-Man.
Yeah.
But then all the little dots were my residents. And so it was something that they knew they were included in it. And so there was that. I had Mario pipes everywhere. It was just stuff like that. There was just like random stuff that I found, but it made it so cool.
It made it feel very homey. And I don't know if Tommy, did you ever see it?
No, because Blair and I didn't become
Oh.
friends technically
Dang.
until we don't need to get into that,
We
but
won't.
technically until like post spring break, spring semester
Whoa.
of our junior year.
Yeah, it was like everybody thinks Tommy and I were like best friends, like for all 4 years of college.
What?
You made it look like it for sure. You
But
guys
Tommy
were.
and I really like. I think we knew of each other freshman, sophomore year, and like part of junior year, we like knew of each other.
Sure.
And then just second semester of my junior year and my senior year, we just got really close. And then he's now like one of my best friends. And so obviously we won't talk all the time, but it's like I'll pick him up, and I feel like it's nothing's been missing. We can talk about the
nothing's
same
been
stuff.
missing, for sure. And that's how it feels like right now. It's like I haven't seen either of you probably in at least a few months. I think I saw you most recently, maybe.
That was because you were filming and I was
Yeah.
working, and it was just hi bye.
It was a very high buy situation, unfortunately. But yes.
I was thinking back to this question that you asked, and I think that junior year, a lot of us guys were trying to figure out ourselves, and a lot of our identity was just like, we might as well hang out with each other. And so there were game nights. Among Us was really popular, and so there was a couple nights we just played Among Us until like midnight, like 1, and we just played Among Us. And it was just like random stuff that it's like most wings weren't doing anything.
Definitely.
And we were playing Among Us. We
I think people were jealous. Let's be fair here.
but some wings were like really good at that stuff.
Yeah.
And for a guy wing, there's like my wing and one other wing of guys that were actually doing stuff together. And so I had that. I remember this is when Minecraft Manhunt became super popular. Like we're talking like 30,000, 40,000 or 30 million like views a video. And so we would watch those, and our like those are like athletes who don't like care, and they're like literally watching it, eating dinner with us. I remember I'd go around and I'd knock on doors, and I'd be like, "Hey, let's go get dinner." And they're like, "Nah, I got homework." And I'm like, "You can do homework later. Like you might as well get dinner with us now. Let's go." And like I remember my boss Farmer pulled me into his room, and was like, "How the heck do you get like 12 to 14 guys almost every night to go get dinner?" And it's because I just literally banged on the door until someone answered, and I was like, "You're getting dinner with me right now. Let's go." And that's all it was. And then going into senior year, we did more large events. So that is when I transitioned into being in an apartment. And so I had to be more creative. I had to be more intentional. And so I realized some of my students are athletes. They're not going to hang out with a NARP. They got their own stuff. They got their own crew. And so for me, what I did is I'd go on Instagram. And I'd post like they had like the athletics thing that was like a hype video talking about the game, and I'd post that on my story with them tagging in it. And I'd be like, "Yo, ball up tonight, like hope you get the win," and stuff like that. And they repost that. And it just became like this cool thing that my basketball players and baseball players did. And they actually like got to know me, and like I got to know them, and it was really cool just to like see that. But that's how you had to be creative. Like some apartments like were just more like friends, and so I could just be not like different with them, but I could have different conversations. I could be different intentionally with them versus my baseball, basketball. I had to be different with them, and by different meaning social media, texts, stuff like that.
Definitely. And I think a big word that I'm hearing over and over in there is intentionality. And I think with creativity in general, having intentionality is so important, because if you don't have intentionality, why are you creating? Like if you're just creating for no reason, I guess there's some sort of good in that. But I think if you're creating to what, like glorify God or to, further something, like there's always should be a reason. And I think you did a great job at that. And I will say, I think at the end, I'll give you a lot of praises.
I really appreciate that.
But I think Blair did a great job of being super intentional with all of us. Even when I was a junior in his wing, he would knock on my door. And I'm like, I'm that kind of person that, especially when it's been a long day, I do not want to do literally anything. But it was one of those things that like got me out, and it definitely did push me. And I don't know if we would have been in the apartment together because we hung out so much because of that intentionality.
Yeah. And I think like when it got into senior year, like I had to be creative on rounds, and like that just meant me doing stupid stuff. Like, and that just meant our events had to be stupid. And so I remember like our block party, literally like we did it in a 2-day notice. Like we planned it on a Wednesday and it was on a Friday. And so like my apartment, our apartment was literally filled with stuff, and it was like random stuff. And so we were like, all right, let's do the watermelon, or not watermelon. Let's do like the water balloon launch, but we'll have targets that have people's faces on them from last year. And then if you hit that, you win the shirt that it's wearing, like stuff like that. And it was like such a cool idea. And then I was like, you wanna know what? Let's just do a pie in the face. Like everybody wants to watch that. And so the whole week on rounds, you would vote. Each night, one person could vote. And so it got to like Friday and the votes were in, and it was like a landslide for me. Like I talked with like our other RAs like a couple weeks ago, and they were like, Blair, literally like we lost count, but it was literally all you, because everybody because I was so intentional, people just knew who I was. And so low key, I feel like they cheated and made me get pied in the face, but it was just like, it was like such a different creative idea to get people to want to show up.
Definitely.
And so like it was stuff like that. Like we did an axe throwing event. And so there's like a thing on campus that's called a pumpkin smash. But we did it before that, so we called it watermelon smash. And so you smash watermelons with a big hammer. We'd put like our faces on the watermelons. You'd smash them with this massive wooden hammer, and literally then we wrestled in it. And it was like the most random thing, but people wanted to watch it. And it was just like such a dope idea, but you have to be creative to do that. And you have to be creative to think about ways that people would want to come out.
Yeah. Random question. Where is that big wooden hammer?
I heard that it's here, but somebody broke it this year. That's what I heard.
No way.
Yeah. So,
did you break it?
No, but this is why freshmen make it to where we can have nice things, dude.
We're going to blame the freshmen. Don't even know them.
Yeah.
But blaming them.
Even
Anyways.
when you are a freshman, you know that you're the problem.
Oh, for sure.
you're not wrong, but like I also feel like low key I was kind of a problem like before I even became an RA. Like literally I read the student handbook to break the rules. I had an RA my freshman year. Shout out Ian. Ian like read the handbook and like knew it. And he was like, "You can't do that. The handbook says that." And I was like, I'm going to see if that actually is what it says. And so what did I do? I printed out the handbook, which is like 100 and something pages. And I read it and I would highlight stuff. And I did this with Daniel Perry. He and I did that, and we would figure out what our RA was saying. It's like, oh, it's in the handbook. And we're like, it actually doesn't say that. And so we would do stuff. And so I literally read the handbook to break the rules. So that became my freshman and my sophomore year. And then when I was like, let's just apply for RA. Like, why not? What do I got to lose? And then I got hired by Farmer. And so now Farmer is kind of the dean of students, but he's like the director of housing. And literally he hired me and he's like, yo, you got hired because of the rules you broke, not the ones you followed.
That's interesting. Because I believe me, I remember before you became my RA, I was slightly worried because I heard stories over and over of like this Blair man who like, would break rules. And I think even Ethan was maybe the one telling me the story.
Probably was Ethan.
And I was like, I'm not worried, but I was like, also, how is he going to be an RA if maybe I'm better at following the rules than him?
But I think that that's what made me creative.
Definitely.
When going into my junior and senior years, I was like, I know the rules that actually matter. Like there's rules on campus for X, Y, and Z, but I was like, what's the worst thing? So I remember once we were planning, this is when you couldn't be on the field. And we planned, this is right when peak Area 51 raid was about to happen. Like everybody was talking about it, and everybody's like, yo, we're going to storm Area 51. If you're a Scion runner or whatever the thing is, like a Super Saiyan runner, like you're going to be on this side. If you're a Aries, you're on this side. Like it was super like random, and it blew up on Twitter. And I was like, you wanna know what? What if we did a storm the field day, like for Area 51? And so I paid one of my friends to like we made posters and I paid him so I wouldn't be affiliated with it. I paid my friend like $10 to go and print them and put them on campus. And somebody on security found out and ripped all the posters down. But it's like the most random things. You got to be creative. And it was like people saw it and they were like, yo, that's actually a pretty dope idea. This is like you couldn't go on the field because of like all the sports.
Yeah.
But now we can. But it was like, I was like, you want to know? Yeah. Well, even like before that, you could.
Yeah.
And I was like, you want to know what? Let's just do this random thing. And I remember that day I was walking by and there's like 10 people that were around the field. And I was like, there's no way like these random people saw it. And I didn't participate in it. And I don't think they did either, but they were there watching. And it was such a random thing. And I just like did it. And I was like, why not? And so, yeah, it was just such a random thing. I don't even think you guys knew that, but I definitely did that.
I don't honestly think I knew that at all.
All that I know is that in post, Zach Reiner ended up with the keep off the field sign and he gave it to me at the end of the year. So I own that sign now.
Is that in your house?
It's a pedal board now.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's
I've got
amazing.
like an acoustic pedal board set on there.
That's so funny.
Chilling at the church, actually. But
and I think that's where it's like we were just so creative in the ideas, and we would figure out like what kind of bothered Jessup enough. And so like when we were graduating, for the next year's shirt, we had to figure out like what to put on for the block. And so every year they like kind of push it and like poke fun of the block. And so when I was a senior, it was like 8 people, 1 fridge. Because there's 8 people, you're all cooking, you all have your own groceries, you got to fit it in 1 fridge. And so when we were leaving, we had to figure out what to do. And so we realized all the laundry machines suck, or they're broken, or you can't use the Pay Range app on them. And so it like freaking sucks. And so shout out Grayson. Grayson kind of like took control of the idea, but we made a QR code and we put it on the back of the shirt. And so it's like on the top, like right by the neck, and literally like shout out to this year's RAs. They have the shirt now. I don't know if they joked around about it, but literally like everybody would make fun of the machines and be like, oh, I have to put in a maintenance request. And so you could scan the QR code and it would take you straight to the maintenance request form because they're always broken or they suck. And so we just did that. And so it's like such a creative idea, but it made it like we were kind of poking fun, but also just like having a laugh because it was just like a joke that everybody knew the machines sucked.
we're also serving the community.
Yeah, we're also helping Jessup,
right?
We're also helping Jessup by like saying like, hey, this is an issue. Like you need to fix this.
No, it's a huge issue. You're like, I'm spending my Saturday or Sunday to do my laundry, and I hate it. I just came back from church. I want to do nothing but
dude. And there were times where I was like on the 3rd floor, and I'm on the bottom floor, and I had to go to the 3rd floor to find a washing machine that worked or was open. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I'm just trying to do my laundry.
Dude, I would do my laundry at 1 a.m.
Dude, there were times.
That was kind of smart, though.
There were times I was doing it at like midnight because I was like, what else am I supposed to do my laundry?
Set an alarm and then wake up.
Yeah,
like
you
were
did.
Yes.
Yeah. Tommy was notorious for like setting alarms for just random things just to wake up so you could.
But it's because I genuinely forget about a lot of things.
And I'd be so pissed when people would put their laundry in and then just wouldn't pick it up. And I'd be like, it's an hour. Like your clothes were done like 15 minutes ago.
No,
I'm trying to wash my clothes. And they just wouldn't do it. And so there was a time I literally bought like a Dollar Tree. I don't think I told you this. I bought a Dollar Tree laundry basket. And so on the bottom floor, if you ever saw that cheap white laundry basket.
That was you?
That was me. I bought that so that I could literally put their clothes in just so I could get them to like get out of the way. Alrighty, let's get to the next question. I feel like we just like get on random tangents, but it's awesome because I haven't seen you guys for so long.
I know. I wish this was a normal thing we could do weekly. It would be really fun. Could you imagine a podcast with our apartment? That'd be really funny.
I don't know if you could promote it on this particular podcast segment,
but it would be really good.
It'd be crazy.
Okay. Yes. Wow. I just went out of that. Okay. So my next question. So we've all graduated, all 3 of us. What is one thing that you would say you've learned from being graduated, or maybe in this time span since graduation, since it's been like multiple months, 6, 7 months, 8 months?
Yeah, it's been like that. I think it's been like 9 months because we graduated like
really
April. and now it's
Right.
January.
Oh my gosh.
It's been 9 months.
So what is something that you maybe have learned from this large amount of time?
Are we talking creatively or not creatively?
I'll give you the option. You can do either way.
I think Tommy should go first.
Okay, I have an answer in mind, and it's going to be a little sad sounding, but
Okay.
I think it's that people. I think that when you're in school from, gosh, I don't even know when you start, like pre-K or whatever, but when you're in school for a majority of your life and you've hit this point, I think what you learn is that people care about vastly different things when they're out of school, especially when it comes to employers and understanding what they want or don't want out of an employee. And don't get me wrong, education is a great thing, and education provides people with a lot of different opportunities. But at the same time, I think what I learned the most is that you have to be teachable, not just when you're in school, because you can focus on, like when I was in school solely to pass, to make sure that I passed well. But there were definitely a few classes that I could think of in the top of my head that I only was there to pass the class. And I never retained any of the information that I learned. And I think that when you get older, you have to remain teachable in order for you to like actually exist in the world, because you can't go to your job and then every day forget what your boss asked you to do or taught you the day before. And I think it's just a change of mindset is how I think I've handled being out of college.
Definitely. Wow.
Honestly,
Honestly,
that was
a
powerful
very
stuff.
good answer. Okay.
How am I supposed to one up that?
It's okay.
No.
I argue with myself in the shower every night, dude. So I have.
I think for me, like one of the things I really learned when I graduated college, and this is something that my boss my senior year really put on my heart, was there are some friendships that are seasonal, and that's hard. Like you've gone to school, so like I was at Jessup all 4 years, and so there are people I've literally known 4 years, and they're in like. People would say high school is very transformational. Yeah, I think college is more transformational because you're actually like becoming independent. You're becoming codependent. And so I think there are a lot of times where people don't understand that college has a lot of seasonal friendships. Like there are people that literally like I have their phone number, haven't texted since like Jessup. And it's just like because we've drifted apart. Like I think we had similar situations in similar like areas of life, but I don't think that meant that we were friends. And that's where like I had to really realize that when we're leaving your university or whatever area of life you are and you're going to a different stage of life, that it can be okay to let things go. And that was something I really had to learn, was that sometimes you had to let things go. And so that were some friendships, that were some people that I was just like, okay, like I'd shoot them a text and they wouldn't text me. And it's like, all I can do is let that go. And so I think that for me was just learning that it's okay for things to not work out in the way that you wanted them to work out.
Yeah, definitely. I remember coming home because you guys at least live a little bit closer and you still come here. Tommy still works here, I think.
Hey, don't call me out like that. Okay. Hey,
Sorry.
I love my job here.
But like Blair, you still come here randomly for different things.
Yeah, I'm here maybe once every 3 months. Like
Sure.
and it's like random things. Like I'd like meet up with somebody to get like in and out. And that's like it.
Right. And it's the thing of like, I moved away and we're really not super far away, which I have been blessed to be able to come back a few times and just see people again. But it's very true. You move away or whatever stage of life you're in, things change very quickly. When I left Jessup, when we were, like I said earlier, when we were leaving right after graduation, which is literally insane. I wish they gave us a little bit more time to just be in the moment. Like I didn't feel like I got to say goodbye, you know? And I it was like one of the regrets that I did have. I was like, I wish I got to actually like come up to you guys and say, I'm going to miss you, or like, this is not the end, but it's going to be like a time, you know? But it is very true. I haven't got to talk to a lot of people from college, especially. And it is kind of tough to go from every single day talking with them, hanging out, doing literally life together, and then no more.
And I think that speaks to the idea of I think a lot of friendships happen because of proximity. You make friends at the school, at the high school or the middle school that you grow up on, and you come to college and you meet all these people because you're literally 2 doors down from them that you can knock on it, but then they move halfway across the country at the end of each semester. But I think that just shows kind of the power of intentionality when, someone like Bryce, who comes all the way from Walnut Creek, to make a podcast in Rockland,
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that my boss really taught me was that find your core group of friends and keep them close. Like, if you value them, you need to put in the effort. And so there are times like I literally just text people, and it's just like people that I know are the core group. And so that was people in my apartment, even some people here that I'm still friends with, that
Sure.
I keep them close and I put in the effort because I want to retain that friendship. So like that, I think that's something that people need to learn, is that if you want to keep those people, you have to put in the effort, and it might not be mutual, but sometimes you have to do that.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that is something that we can all take away. And it is very special that we are here at Jessup. I don't know if we even explained that. We're at Jessup at the moment.
We are.
Getting to record it. But yes. Okay.
Dude, I was looking through some of these questions. Like, we're going to go rapid fire through some of them.
Yes. So I'm going to ask you probably one question more, and then we'll go into a rapid questions. I think they're going to be really interesting. And
100%.
I've listened to so many podcasts where they do this, and I'm like, this is the funniest thing, because you just kind of say what's on your mind first. Could be a little dangerous, but we'll see. But yes, so the whole podcast is about creativity. I do believe your job specifically is a very creative job. Can you talk a little bit more about your job?
Are you talking about me or are you talking about Tommy?
Your job.
Okay, yeah. Sorry,
I'm going to
Tommy.
have Tommy on again later. I'm going to force him. So we'll make a whole podcast about this, and you can be the side.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, I think for me, being creative in my job is realizing that the youth that I'm working with are different than when I was in youth. Like I work with the building that I work at has first graders all the way up to 12th graders. And I'm working with the 6th through 8th graders. But then I'm also on a campus with 6th through 8th graders. So like my humor is like towards middle schoolers because that's who I'm with most of the time. Like I literally am meeting up with a middle schooler and a couple of them to go to church. And so it's like I'm going to hang out with them. And so that's where like you have to realize you got to be creative. And so for them, it's learning about the music that they like. It's learning about games that they enjoy. It's learning about stuff that they like. And so for instance, like I got some students that really are into football. Your boy don't know nothing about football. Like I literally don't really know anything about football. And so for me, it's like it's learning that like to be creative, sometimes you gotta watch those highlights. Sometimes you gotta just look up the scores so you can talk to them about it. And once they realize that you're kind of into it, they are open. They're talking to you about that. And it's just being creative in like what I'm doing. So I'm trying to think of like some things that I've done. So like there's a billiards place like pretty close to my work. I've taken kids to literally just go play pool. And they are like, they don't like, some of them are like, this is dope. And some of them are like, okay, I'll just go because why not?
Sure.
But it's like being intentional, and the intentionality behind it is like, that makes them super open to it. I've gone to Jamba Juice with kids, and that's like their go-to hangout spot. Dutch Bros, Starbucks, like it's stuff like that. Just being creative with them, making them feel like they're loved, but then also making them realize that like you care about them. And so like for my job, like when I'm going on campus, I'm thinking of different things that are allowing kids to want to come to club. And so like in a couple weeks, we're doing like an invite day, and it's like you invite your friends. And I have some students who are starting to get into a leadership role, and so those kids are helping me out. And so you invite your friend, and if you invite your friend, however many friends you invite, that's how many tickets you get into a raffle, and the winner wins a set of AirPods.
No way. Can I come?
And so it's like you got to realize like music is really in these days. Like kids love music, they love AirPods, like they love that stuff. And so if I can go out of my way, like, yeah, I think I'm spending like 80 to $100. And I'm like, okay, that's some money. But for those kids to realize like, yo, Blair's actually caring. Like he's going to pull up with AirPods to give away. Like he's pulling up with pizza or donuts. Like they're going to come. They're going to realize that like this guy actually cares. And then I have like a little bit of message. And so like this, so like on Fridays, I'll do a message. And then Tuesdays, Thursdays, I'll do like a little 5-minute talk. And so Tuesdays, Thursdays are just a random talk. So this last Thursday, I talked about like your mistakes don't define you. So I brought up like I've made mistakes, and I was like, but look where I am. Those mistakes haven't affected me because I don't let them affect me. I was like, you guys can make mistakes. You guys are young. You guys can make mistakes. You guys can be stupid. But if somebody's telling you, oh, you're dumb, if you hold on to that and you're holding on to a mistake or a negative feeling, then you're going to continue to tell yourself that. Like, but if you let that go, you can be somebody that you want to be. So I talked about that. And then we're going on Fridays and talking about unfiltered and having an unfiltered life. And so that's taken away those masks that you've had. And so I've had a mask of my own that I've had to take off. And so I talk about like, you can have a filter like Visco, you have like Snapchat filters, Instagram filters, but I want you to be authentic and be real. God created you this way, and I don't want you to feel like you have to be fake. And so that's what we've been talking about. And so it's been really awesome to see some students that are like starting to process it. And that's what I love. And that's what makes me excited every day is that like just by hanging out with them, they're understanding like who God is. And they'll see like through my life, like I had a student that was like, yo, what the heck, Blair? Why are you different than all the other white guys that we've met? And that's when I'm like, that's a place that I can talk about Jesus. And so like I brought up like, oh, I'm a Christian. Like that's why I act a little different. And so that gets the wheels rolling. And so it's just stuff like that.
Definitely. That is a very great answer. I was not expecting that much, and I loved it. Yeah, because I work at a Christian high school as well. And similarly, in our chapels, we're talking about courage. And it's a very similar idea to that. And I think it's so important for students, especially in middle school or high school, because I work in a high school. I think those are very transformational years for them, especially because they're starting to like put together who is Christ to them, you know?
Yeah, and some of them are going to that, but they're not Christian.
Right,
like,
yes.
For me, like, oh, I was a quote-unquote Christian. I didn't really care. But if you're talking about that and you're having guest speakers, like, come in and just talking about, like, what's going on and stuff like that, like, they start to understand, like, being a Christian isn't an easy thing. And so, like, I think it's awesome that you guys at Chapel are being able to talk about that. Like I'm literally on campus and I can't talk about God, but I can bring up Christ-like attributes. And so that's what I've been able to do.
Yeah. It's tough when you go to a non-Christian workplace. And at least for me, all I want to do is talk about Christ. You know, like if there's a reason behind what I'm doing, it's Christ. And if you can't bring that into the conversation because of whatever it is, it's hard. I have a friend who works at another school in Virginia, and she was saying how like she literally could not imagine teaching at a public school because if you can't explain like what is right and wrong, like how do you truly explain what is right and wrong to a child who doesn't really even understand what the world is yet? What is right and wrong? And if you can't use what God is, that's hard. But yes. Okay. Not to go into like that whole tangent, but I loved it. So this is the first time I get to do this because I actually have somebody else here. But we're going to do a lightning round questions where you're going to say basically what is the first thing that comes to mind when I ask you the question. You kind of probably have been looking at them a little bit.
I like glanced at them, but I wasn't paying attention. Not gonna lie.
Sure. So I'll go through them. If I find one that I'm like, this is perfect, I'm going to ask you more about it.
Okay.
Whatever. First one. What color best represents you?
Blue.
Okay. What's your favorite type of food?
I love pasta.
Who was your favorite teacher in college?
Oh, Brad Swope.
Brad
Oh,
Swope.
John Gallegos.
Oh, a little controversy.
Yeah, so John Gallegos or Brad Swope.
Okay. Who was your favorite roommate from our apartment?
Tommy.
Ah, dang it. It's okay.
Sorry, Bryce.
Who was your, how many kids do you want one day?
I don't think I want kids, so we can
Ooh.
go into that if you want. Like this can get super deep. It can't get deep, but I'll just go like however much I want to say.
Sure.
I think for me, I'm not sure if I want to have kids, and that's kind of been a red flag in like some past relationships and stuff that people are like, oh, you don't want kids, and I think it just comes down to like the fear that I have. And that's like just a fear of like, I don't think I can be a good dad. Like, I think I can be that dope uncle that everybody's like, yo, like he's dope. But like being solely responsible for a kid, like, I don't know if I can do that. And I think like, I just don't know if I'm ready. And I'm willing right now to have God put me in a place wherever that is.
Sure. Are we ever ready for kids? I don't know.
So I think like with that, like if God wants me to move to Virginia, your boy's going to move to Virginia.
Sure.
And so I think for me, like being in a relationship and having kids makes it harder, quote unquote, harder for me to follow God's call in my life. And that's just that's my perspective on it. Some people might have a different perspective, but that's how I feel.
Sure. Okay. Cats or dogs?
I'm a dog person.
Heads or tails?
Tails.
What's your favorite, Marvel or DC?
Like movie superhero, like you got to be more specific. Like that just is Marvel.
Which one? Like Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Which one? Marvel? Okay. I like that too.
Okay, good.
What's your favorite number?
13.
Favorite YouTuber?
I think there's Yes Theory, and then there's Alex Warren.
Ooh, okay. The
I think
knockoff
that's his last name.
David Dobrik, they say.
Alex Warren.
Yeah.
I think if Alex Warren is who I think it is, he's a Christian. Maybe
I
we're
don't
not,
think we're
awkward. We'll figure this out. Keep
going.
asking me questions.
Okay. Pick one, Apple or Windows?
Apple.
Texting or talking?
I kind of like FaceTime.
Okay. Favorite day of the week?
Definitely a Wednesday.
Oh, not Sunday. Christian. I'm just
Okay, alrighty. Well, there's a reason behind that.
Okay. Favorite city in the U.S. besides the one you live in?
Ooh, I'd say Citrus Heights.
Citrus Heights.
That's where I work.
Nickname your parents used to call you?
Bear.
Bear.
Yeah, that's
Why?
what my dad called me. My dad would call me Bear.
Never
But
mind.
people at school would like say that, and I hated it. But now that I look back at that, like that was just a something that my dad would say.
Sure. I just remember calling him. I don't know if I should say it.
Blair Bear.
Yeah, I called him Blair Bear one day. I think we were still in Sunset, and I just remember him getting so stern. He goes, "I don't like that."
Yeah. Well, it's because people would like make fun of me with that name. Oh, his name is Alex Wilson.
Okay, Alex Warren is definitely a different
Yeah,
person.
my bad. I know who that guy is. He
Yeah.
does TikTok, but no, Alex Wilson is just like he's a Christian. He actually like has a podcast, but he also just brings up like Christ and what it means to be a Christian. And so he goes like, there's a video literally right now that was uploaded 4 hours ago that says, "Be good, not known." It's like stuff like that that makes you think.
Sure. Okay. Last song you downloaded. Like, are you on iTunes anymore and downloading music?
No, that's for. I think last liked song. Are we talking?
Sure.
Who You Are by ZDRX. That's my
Ooh.
coworker.
I just remember in the morning I'd hear Big Time Rush, Windows Down, and I was kind of expecting that to be the answer.
No, that's my alarm. I was just like, I'm wired after that. Like you can't just like lay in bed and just snooze that. Like you got to get up and get hyped.
It's an epic song. How did you sleep through that? Did you?
He did.
Dude, I can sleep to almost anything. It's kind of bad.
It was random. Like I even like the RA phone. Like RAs have to have this phone, like 20, like blah 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 blah. Like in case something happens, they can call it. And I would apologize to Tommy. I'd be like, "Hey, I have the phone tonight," and he's like, "Bro, I don't care." He's like, "I'm not gonna wake up."
My alarm barely does its job. It's right next to my head.
Dude, I would walk into Tommy's alarm going, and I'd be in my room, and I'd hear it, and I'm like, all right, it's been like 5 minutes. I should probably like hit him in
It's
the
also
face.
because a new one would go off every
Yep.
2 minutes because I had to set it up that way.
Dude, okay, this is a random story I'm gonna say real quick. My sophomore year, we had a futon in my room. We had this guy. His name was Anthony. And he came because he was just having issues with his roommate. So he slept on this futon. Swear to you, it's like 7 in the morning and he has an alarm go off on his phone. It's a Saturday. Who wants to wake up at 7 in the morning on a Saturday? And there's 3 people in this room plus Anthony. So there's 4 people in this room. And so he straight up, his alarm's going off. It's like 7 in the morning. Myself and there's a guy named Tyler. And Tyler's like, bro, it's 7 in the morning. Like, can you just shut up? Like his alarm. And it's like he had an Android, and so you couldn't stop the alarm. He had to like turn on the phone and something. And so literally like it's like 7:15 now. We all can't go to bed because his alarm's going off. And I just remember Tyler literally takes this weighted pillow, like it's like probably a 20-pound pillow, and straight up, like he's on the top bunk. Anthony's like below him, like sleeping on the futon, and he straight up like takes this 20-pound pillow, I swear, and just throws it, and it lands straight on Anthony's head. And Anthony's still asleep. And we're like, what the heck? Like, we can't go back to bed. Tyler now doesn't have a pillow. And so we're trying to wake up Tony. So that's just like a random story that just came to mind. And speaking of alarms, that was just the most random thing. And so, Tony, I love you. You probably don't even remember this. This was sophomore year. This is like 2019, 2020. He was
out, though, so it doesn't matter.
Man did not wake up.
Good story. Okay. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Speak every language.
Ooh. Favorite holiday? Christmas, the presents. Okay.
President's Week. I'm just kidding. It's Christmas.
How long does it take you to get ready in the morning?
Okay. This is lightning round? 20 minutes.
How long does it take you to fall asleep?
Depends. Do I have something to do in the morning or no?
Sure. Something in the morning.
Probably like 5 minutes.
Really?
I'm out.
Do you fall asleep quickly?
You can ask Tommy, bro. I'd like lay on my bed, out.
Dude, pillow I felt like was laced with melatonin because his head would hit it and he'd be gone.
Okay.
There were times like he'd be talking to me, out, like, and I was just that tired.
He would respond to my question. I'd be like, "Oh, dude, like, you know, how's this person?" It's awesome.
But then I was up at like 6 a.m.
Right.
So it'd be like
stuff to do.
Midnight, and I'd fall asleep and wake up at 6 a.m.
Sure. Okay, 2 more lightning questions and then 1 final question at the end. Fill in the blank. Taylor Swift is blank.
Overrated. Ooh. That's
I'm offended. My answer's gonna
maybe
be
you
a
have
lot
to
different.
cut that one out.
Yeah, my answer's gonna be a lot different in my lightning.
If you wanna talk to me about that,
we can go outside.
Blair. Yeah,
we'll go outside.
All I'm gonna say is
the Swifties are gonna kill you.
I'm not a big fan of Taylor Swift, and I think that like her music is just like, I don't know, it's just, to me it's overrated. Like,
sure.
I get it, like I'll listen to it if I have to, but I'm not like, put me on Taylor Swift, like I'm gonna listen to that song all the time.
I know what we're listening in the car later.
We're not.
What age do you want to retire and why?
From my job right now, or just in
general? Like, you're like, oh, by 65, I want to be living in the Bahamas.
It's Jamaica, not the Bahamas. But I definitely think like 70. But I'd still do stuff. Like I would like still volunteer at church and stuff like that. So it wouldn't just be like, I'm just an old fart now. I'm just sitting on my couch watching TV all day. So
sure. I personally, I don't know how I could do it. It feels like I need to be doing something.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
You either have passive income or you're passing gas. Like I feel like that's what happens when you get older.
Yep.
Passing income or passing gas. That's like a funny.
That's a good.
That's a great transition point. That's amazing.
Thank you, Tommy. Okay, so there's 2 technically final things. The last one would be name a favorite moment or favorite time from the apartment or from Sunset. It could be with me or just the apartment in general or whatever.
I think if we want to do like favorite moment with you,
sure.
I would say there was this moment, like it was just some random night and I'm like in your room, like low key harassing you. It's like the most random thing. Like I would turn off the light and I just keep turning it back on and I turn it off and turn it back on. Just like the most random things. But that turned into like a really intentional conversation that was just like actually talking about your mental health.
Definitely.
Like actually talking about like where you are and like how you're feeling. Cause like we lived in the same apartment, but sometimes we wouldn't have those like deep talks. And so I think that was like my favorite moment with you. And it was just like, I know that I think sometimes you struggle with like opening up about like what's going on. You like to hold all that in.
Definitely.
And so it was such an awesome moment to just have you just like literally like you weren't crying, but you were like on the verge of tears and you were just like, this is what I'm feeling. And so it was probably like one of my favorite moments. And it's just like a random thing that like, I'm not going to really tell everybody else, but like,
Yeah.
there we go.
Perfect moment for it.
It was awesome.
And
And then I think for the apartment, there's so many. Like we did Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai was one of our things.
Squid Games as well.
Yeah,
Before
Squid
it was
Games.
Cool.
Okay, actually, Squid Games was like that was right when it was peak, like number one on Netflix. Dude, there were times like we were watching that. So I think Squid Game, like watching it with our apartment. I think any movie night with our apartment. There was once you had gone to bed and it was literally Tommy, myself, Nate Ogawa, Everett, Sam, and Peyton Stewart. And Nate didn't live in our apartment, but he came over one day and literally we were in my room and just somehow we got into a really intentional conversation. And that conversation, like, I remember I told Tommy, I was like, dude, like, this was a really good conversation, especially for Everett and Sam that were new to our apartment. And so it was just such an awesome time to like have them open up about who they are. They heard my testimony and they were like shocked. They were like, yo, like, what the heck? And so it was just stuff like that. Like we shared, we were open, we were authentic, we were real. And there were times like we were literally like, dude, I don't know what to do. And I think like a more fun one, the Shetties. If you guys don't know what that was, we did an award show very last day of open hours. And it was the most fun I think I've ever had in my entire year.
Dude, that was incredible.
It was the most fun.
It's also one of the most busiest days of the entire year.
Oh, yeah.
Really
in the
tough.
weirdest way. I was
Yeah.
struggling to even get like a playlist queued up so
That was
we
so
could have
hard. Yeah, I
like
remember that. Yep.
walk-in music
Yeah,
for
and
people
it was
who won the awards.
it was the most random thing because it was just like we made a slideshow. We went out and bought like prizes.
Random
like
prizes,
we
yeah.
literally made a Google form for all of our apartment mates to
before
vote.
TikTok made it cool.
Yeah,
We
and-
were cool before it was cool.
And then it was like
dressed
we did
up.
like random awards, and then I hosted it, and so I literally wore my block shirt, a blazer. I think I wore shorts, and then I had Crocs, and it was like nothing to do with one another. Like I said, bring your +1, and so there was just like random moments. Like I would be like, all right, and now Tommy's gonna go and do this award. Tommy had no idea he was the one going to announce the award. He had no idea who was going to win the award. But I made sure that everybody in the crowd came up and announced an award so they all felt included. They had no idea. And I was like, dude, just talk about the award. Talk about why you think this person won. No idea who the winner was. It was like the most fun night. And it was like just a crazy night. We literally were there till midnight. And like, no offense to the RAs, I wasn't the RA on call. We definitely were there till like 12:30, like just hanging out, and it was like nothing bad. It was
We had to clean up the apartment. That was a legitimate reason.
yeah, it was-
Clean up.
It was so fun, but it was just like I think that was like so many people laughed and so many people had fun because it was such a stressful time. It was like the end of finals week, and we did. Oh no, it was right before finals week. It was like the last day of open hours, and we did that, and it was such a fun night.
That is something that will live in my memory forever. That was just the best experience. But I remember me and Tommy, it was like that morning, we were like, okay, we got to have something really good for music.
Right. It can't just be, and the winner is Blair Maynard.
Yeah.
And just him walk up and everyone's like,
Right?
like, this is
You
not
can't
golf.
do
It was
Come
like
on.
every time, every award had a different like music choice, but
Yep.
there were specific times in the songs. And so like you would have to stall and it'd be really awkward. So there was like one award that was like, who's the apartment maid? And it was just like, I just chose, like, I was like, all right, Sam, you're announcing this award. He's like, and then he'd like walk up there and be like, tell us why you think this person won. Explain to me why you think that they deserve this award.
I still have the playlist.
No
playlist.
way.
It was the best. And I just, man, I remember so many good memories from that night because it was like also the girlfriends as well. Like everybody, like we truly made memories with that year. It was like, it felt like it all just came together. We had AJ's fiance at the time. And I think that was the second time I ever met her, and it was like this weird kind of thing.
And then there was just like people brought their girlfriends. There was a couple of people that like were gonna be in the apartment next year that we invited, and so it's just like random stuff. And it was like the awards were like Dollar Tree awards, like the worst thing. I remember one of the awards, and I'll just say it. One of the awards we got was we had a pregnancy test that we bought from Dollar Tree, and it was the Apartment Simp Award. And we gave that, and it was like a pregnancy test, like $1. Nobody was going to use it. And we just bought it and we gave it to them.
Well, you don't know that.
But we were just like, here's your award. And they were like, oh, and they were like, talk about your award, talk about why you deserve this. And like people, like the vibe that we brought to that literally made it so everybody was like, yeah, I deserve this award because X, Y, and Z.
I'm a simp, guys.
And they were like, everybody was active. Like everybody was cheering, like low key, like the people above us called me like at the end. They're like, what the heck are you guys doing? Because we're just hearing shouting and screaming.
It has that same feeling of like a slideshow night, if you've ever seen them on TikTok, where you like are literally improving the whole time. It had that feeling. It was great.
We did it before that trend was cool.
Like I said, I think we were cool before it was cool. But yes, I will say, Blair, you did a great job with that, and a great job with the apartment as well, because you did really tailor the group for it as well. Like you didn't let just random people show up. Like it was truly tailored for the best experience that we could have ever asked for.
I remember like that evening we talked before, like 3 weeks in advance. We're like, all right, send out the Google Calendar invite. Yep. And once I did that, I had like a whole spiel in it, and I was like, these are the people that are invited, and like you had to accept the invitation, and people were pulling up like 20 minutes before the award show. Like I wasn't even there. I had an event.
Yeah, I think it was like, right after you ran. I ran,
got dressed, and there's like 30 people in our apartment waiting for me.
You could barely get in the front door.
It was
like
crazy.
At that point,
the front door was open.
It was a fire hazard.
It was truly a fire hazard because I think we had our futon. Not our futon. Was it futon?
Yeah, it was your futon.
We were like right at the front door, and it was impossible. It got hot in there. Like
for legal reasons, let's say that it was a hyperbolic statement.
I have a fire hazard, more favorite moment
I
want to talk about. I didn't participate in it, but it was one of my favorite moments that I heard.
Oh no.
It was when our air conditioning blew.
Dude, I've got the pictures still.
So for you guys who don't know, our apartment, this is like August, first week of September, 2021.
Hottest time.
It is like 105, 110 degrees. It's so hot. Our air conditioning goes out. And so we like emailed Jessup. We're like, yo, we're literally freaking dying in our apartment. And it was hotter inside our apartment than it was outside. And we were so tempted to just literally go sleep in the grass because we were like, we're going to die.
I thought about it.
And so I remember one night, we're all like barely surviving. And Tommy's like, screw this. I'm going to go sleep in the living room. And then like the next morning at like 6 a.m, I get a text or like in our Instagram group chat. And there was like 6 people sleeping in the living room. And it was like the funniest moment because for those of you guys who don't know, the day that the ACAD classrooms, all of their air conditioning went out, they came to Jessup to fix our air conditioning, but they had to get diverted to go fix the classrooms. Yeah. And so I literally like almost threw a revolt because it was a week of us not having air conditioning, and they fixed the ACAD classrooms. And then literally was like a couple days later, they came back. And in the time like we didn't have our air conditioning, they gave us these crappy fans that literally just blew hot air around. And
they left mold that like killed Zach.
They literally like, and from all, because it was like fans you could put cold water and it would blow cold air. Literally mold happened in our apartment. One of our guys was deathly allergic. Like they gave us it literally looked like a meth lab because there was like the portable air conditioning unit connected to our window. And it was like the only thing that was cold in our apartment. No one slept. No one ate. It was the worst experience, but it was also the most fun and one of the best experiences I've had because everybody was like, dude, I'm so, like, it's so hot. Let's just go to Dutch Bros, and it's like 1 a.m. because no one can sleep. So that's just a moment. I think one more. I'm gonna keep going.
One more.
My birthday.
Oh,
Dude, I was going to talk about that if
My
you weren't
birthday.
going to talk about
I
it.
turned 21, and we went to Dutch Bros, and then we went to the casino and went to Panda Express. And that's something I had talked about. And we all got dressed up. We all had a fun time. We never even gambled. We literally just went there to eat Panda Express.
it's my first time there, and it was.
It was not a fun experience.
I'll talk about the pre part of that story when I'm on my.
Yeah, but-
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll remember this moment.
Yeah, we'll
But
put
it was,
a pin in
I think
it.
that was just an awesome experience. So I think there's so many. So I'm sorry. I keep talking
You're
about
good.
that.
No, it was best. I love just being able to reminisce on them as well, because I think one of my favorite times and stories that we had. I think it was me, you, and Zach, and it was like a random night again, just like yours. We were sitting in your room, and I think we were both sitting in your bed, and you were on the ground or
I
something.
swear, like my bed was used by like 1,000 people. Like
Truly.
everybody literally sat on my bed, and I sat on the floor like 90% of the time.
It was like this was not Blair's room. This was my room, and I'm sitting in it. That was just a great experience as well. It was very similar. It was just like a good heart-to-heart conversation. But I think one of my favorite stories from the apartment specifically, there's so many good ones, and I think you brought up some of my favorite especially, was just the random days we'd all just hang out because I don't know if I've even touched upon it, but our apartment was the best. I will say just above all. But we were also a very busy apartment.
Best
Our
and the
apartment
busiest.
picture took 5 months to start.
It was something that we wanted to do on the first day. Just couldn't though.
It was literally like the last week of school. We were like, we need this apartment picture.
We needed it, especially since we had people switching, because one person was graduating.
One
Sorry,
person was graduating,
forgot.
one person was engaged,
Right.
and so they moved off campus.
Correct. And we had new people, so it's like we wanted at least to have a photo from both sections of it. So it's important to us that we got this photo. And I was gonna say, I think that was one of my favorite experiences was the both times because it was like the only time we were actually all together, and it was a funny experience. We were only probably together for maybe 5 to 10 minutes at most.
Dude, it was like
doing
half
it.
the people were cooking food.
Yes.
The other people were doing homework. People were coming and going, and we're like, you can't leave. I don't care if you're late for class. We're taking this picture.
Yeah, it was like 5 minutes. We just need 5 minutes, guys. How
just
is it
need
so hard
5
to literally
minutes.
take 5 minutes out of a day to take a picture? And even that, it was so difficult.
It was very difficult, and I think you might have even scheduled it with us.
I did. I remember I had a Google Calendar invite and was like, we're doing it this day. And literally we all like came in and it was like, it was just a random day and we're like, we're all here. We're all here. And it was like such a cool, because there's I think it was like a random Tuesday at like 11. And we
Yeah.
were just all there randomly.
Definitely. But yes, so to kind of wrap it up a little bit, just because I don't want to keep you all day since you're going to H&M for the first time.
Yeah.
Can't believe that's a possibility, and I'm
Yeah.
throwing him under the bus right now.
It's okay.
I can cut it out if you want to.
No, I'm chill with that. It's good.
Hey, you've got a seasoned pro taking it. So.
Yeah, you know.
You can come with Bryce. It's all good.
Wow, I can come with for the first time.
Come to H&M with us.
Yeah, I might actually. But yes, so thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you to Tommy as well. But yes, Blair has been an amazing figure in my life for a longest time. And it was a very hard thing to say goodbye, especially at the very end. Because I remember we all left in the same car for graduation. And I think that was
Yeah.
one of our best decisions ever. Because there was only like, I think 4 of us.
We got coffee. I
It was-
remember that.
yeah. I was a little nervous about the coffee, to be very honest. I was like, I'm a little nervous. I don't really need coffee in my system right now.
Do you know how hard it is to take off that robe and then to, yeah,
I did it once.
Get there
and
in
It was
time.
very difficult.
We were all like, that day we were like, dude, make sure you don't forget this. And we like all put it in, I think it was, I don't remember whose car it was. We all like put our
Zach's.
stuff. Yeah, it was Zach's. And
Zach's,
we
yeah.
all like made sure that we were like on top of each other. Like, do you have your tie? Do you have your hat? Do you have your gown? It was like the funniest day ever.
you have
It was
little
the best.
Congratulations, clapper.
But it was very hard because you were, for especially in my life, for 2 years. Because when I came to Dress Up, we only had half a year because COVID hit and we got sent home and I didn't stay on campus. So I had Ethan, which I love Ethan, and I will still say both of you guys are my favorite RA. But yes, you were a very big figure in my life because you were always right next door and I could always hang out with you because you were forced to. But it was also a blessing. So thank you so much for that. And I'm very happy that you were the first guest on the podcast.
I had made it. Mom, I made it.
Well, thanks for listening. I hope you guys all have a good day. Bye.